Welcome to Company Showcase, an advertising feature on HowStreet.com.
I'm your host, Jim Goddard. Douglas Mason is president and CEO of Rainy Mountain Royalty Corporation, and Robert Middleton is the vice president of explorations and the company's QP qualified person. Rainy Mountain Royalty Corp is listed on the TSX Venture Exchange, trading symbol RMO, and on the Frankfurt Exchange in Germany, trading under EK7NFF. Rainy Mountain Royalty Corp is online at rmroyalty.com. To start, Doug, please tell us about Rainy Mountain Royalty Corp.
Well, a pleasure. Thank you very much for having us on the show, Jim. Rainy Mountain Royalty Corp is primarily a Canadian exploration company that has been acting in the capacity as a project generator for the last 10 or 12 years. The company is in very sound financial shape, having recently completed an oversubscribed rights offering. It raised the company about $1,250,000, and also an additional private placement post that rights offering. Just in the last several weeks, it'll raise another $500,000 for the company. So the latest initiative that the company's embarked upon was the acquisition of a property group in Northern Ontario we call the Brunswick Property. Having ourselves well capitalized and having completed a lot of groundwork, we now have a planned drill program for mid-May. More on that, I'll pass the phone to our qualified person and VP Exploration, Mr. Bob Middleton, who is one of the foremost geophysicists in Canada, and we're very blessed to have him running our exploration programs.
Robert, so
yes.
What can you tell us as the person in charge of the exploration operation?
Yes, thank you, Jim. Rainy Mountain has been putting together a number of projects in Northern Ontario, the latest being Brunswick, which we got from a prospector that found the Borden Gold Discovery back in 2009 to 2015, and in 2015 Goldcorp bought out the junior company that optioned it from Mike for $5 a share, $555 million transaction, and that ore will be trucked from the Borden site near Chapleau, Ontario, all the way to the mill in Timmins. Working with Mike, who I've known since 1983, we selected this particular property called Brunswick in Brunswick Township. It's 6 miles long, which is 9.6 kilometers, and it had a gold showing that Mike had found with assays up to 32 grams. There's a number of 3.5 to 4 gram assays over an 8 meter width. So we got our plans and permits done, and did our geophysical survey, which is called an IP survey, induced polarization survey, and outlined a number of splay faults coming off a major structure, which is called the Rideout Fault. And the Rideout Fault actually extends through Brunswick all the way west through Chester Township, where I.M. Gold are developing a large low-grade gold deposit, and then past the Jerome mine all the way over to Borden, where the project there is being developed now by Goldcorp. So it's a similar geological setting as Borden. However, it's less metamorphosed, and it's very, very similar, in fact, to the Bell Creek mine in Timmins that I found for Rosario Resources back in 1979, which is now Lakeshore operating it, which got taken over by Tahoe. So these major structures that occur, like the Rideout Fault, have sister faults like the Destor-Porcupine Fault, and the Cadillac Fault, and the Larder Lake Fault. And all the major gold camps are associated with these major structures. So in particular, as I said, the project is 6 miles long. We've initially, last fall, only covered a 1.3 kilometer section of a little postage stamp over the gold zone and found these other parallel structures. So there's actually 5 structures there, not just one. And we're presently extending that grid both east and west of the original grid. We're adding another 2.4 kilometers to the west, another half mile or 800 meters to the east. And have extended the IP anomalies that we initially got and extended those structures and found some new targets as well. So the plan is that we have a permit to do trenching, and some of this is very shallow overburden. It's not deep overburden like it is in Timmins, but we're probably going to do some trenching after the snow is gone. The snow is usually melted by the 10th of May, thereabouts. So we're starting to see outcrops peeking out already. And we're going to be doing some more mapping, prospecting on those. But with the IP survey, we found a number of really strong anomalies associated with an arsenic antimony anomaly that we discovered last fall. And arsenic and antimony are important pathfinders for finding gold. Often they're associated either directly with the gold mineralization or surrounding it as a halo. And the Bell Creek discovery, that's exactly how we found Bell Creek. We hit 1,000 ppm arsenic with a couple of, they're not mediocre, but 300 parts per billion gold hits. And we moved the drill only 100 meters to the west and hit a bonanza hole with 50 chunks of visible gold. So that's the actual discovery story on Bell Creek. When we did the geophysics here last fall, we used a new approach called, it's a deep IP method, where instead of going down just 6 layers, we went down 20 layers, and we actually found other zones at depths that never would have been seen before within this major shear structure that we've been following. I've got 10 holes presently planned now on the east side grid, and we're still in the process of finishing our IP survey on the west side. We've got 5 of the 12 lines completed, and as I said, we've got a very strong IP anomaly associated with the arsenic antimony anomaly there, and we're going to be adding additional drill holes, probably another 4 to 6 holes over there already that from the data that we've seen to date. So drilling will start after the 12th of May. The contractor presently is drilling for IM Gold literally next door, and therefore we have no mobilization charge to bring the drill 12 miles from that property over to our property. IM Gold has also picked up all the ground they could get their hands on east of us as well. And I've known the fellows working for that company for some time. A lot of them are just ex-Noranda geologists that have worked with me on joint ventures in the past. So we have a pretty friendly relationship with them. However, Tahoe, which was formerly Lakeshore, are not now about to develop the Max Juby deposit to the east of us. That's another large low-grade deposit, but in similar rocks to what we have, carbonated basalts. And east of that is Orico, which is now Alamos Gold. They are actually in production. And east of that at Kirkland Lake is Kirkland Lake Gold. And Tony McCooch is the new CEO of that, who came from the Lake Shore. And he's out looking for acquisitions. Of course, in Timmins, you've got Goldcorp. So there's 5 majors in our neighborhood that are interested in acquiring things once they're outlined. So that's the role we play as a junior, is to make that discovery. Now, some of my shareholders are pretty optimistic. They've seen me work on the Hemlo and saw 3 mines develop there. So if we get one hit on these structures, there's going to be others. We've got 6 miles, which is 9.6 kilometer strike length, which is the length of Hoyle Township back in Timmins that contains the Hoyle Pond deposit, a new discovery south of the Hoyle Pond, the Owl, and the Bell Creek, and a couple of other small discoveries that have just been made around Bell Creek, all in that 6-mile distance. So we have similar geology, similar alteration. We already have the gold showings, and we have the porphyries that are now just being discovered today in Hoyle Township, because it's all covered in overburden up there. We've actually found them in outcrop, and those are what are called the heat engines that have helped form the gold deposits. So we have all the elements that you would ever want in a gold setting, and the possibility of actually turning this into not just a discovery, but into an actual gold camp. So as I said, we're going to start drilling here in May, and assays probably start coming by the beginning of June, because it takes 2 weeks to turn around assays. And it's really easy for us to prep the samples, as the prep lab is right in Timmins, which is just about an hour's bus ride from our site. The bus comes through every night. You can put the samples on the bus, and they're in the lab the next morning. Or you can personally drive them up. So that sort of summarizes the Brunswick project. And as I said, we've had other projects in the past scattered around Northern Ontario. There's other companies spending their money on the projects. That's why the name Royalty is in the name of Rainy Mountain Royalty, symbol RMO.
Back to Doug for a moment. Doug, it really sounds like you've assembled a very experienced team.
Yeah, Jim, so you can see why we're all excited in the Rainy Mountain Royalty camp. We're in the right area. We're in elephant country. We're surrounded by majors and mines in relative close proximity. We've got the right geology. We've taken the project on slowly and carefully, doing deep induced polarization, which has given us a good snapshot of potential mineralization. So we've been able to identify drill targets. We're financed and ready to go drilling. Can't think of a better time to invest in the company prior to a pretty good-sized drill program, while the company's currently at quite a low market capitalization of under $5 million. So that, as you had mentioned before, please visit our website at rmroyalty.com, or you can call our shareholder relations line at 604-922-2030.
Doug, Bob, thank you so much for the update.
Great pleasure. Thank you very much, Jim.
My guests have been Douglas Mason and Robert Middleton from Rainy Mountain Royalty. We've been speaking on April 27th. I'm Jim Goddard.
Comments made on Company Showcase are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any manner whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Archived online at howstreet.com. Company Showcase is a production of Howe Street Media Incorporated.